Hi, everyone. Welcome to our One World Energy Encounter with the Zohar. This week's portion is Vayechi. In our edition of the Zohar, it's volume 7, and we're going to be at verse 395. The title of the article is The Angel Who Redeemed. And before we begin, let's invite in the Kabbalistic lineage of the Rav and Karen and Michael, Rav Schlag, Rav Brandwein, the Ria Kodesh, the Ramchal, Rabbi Tarfon, Rav Abel Zulai, Rav Menachem Mendel of Vitebsk, Rav Kolon Mishapir Piasetzna, Rav Baal Shem Tov, Rav Shumbai Chaim, all the students, Rav Mordechai of Chernobyl, one soul with Yosef Tzaddik in Shechem. Today is the 10th day of Tevet of Capricorn, and we have the additional assistance today of Zachariah Hanavi, Zachariah the prophet, Malachi the Hanavi, the prophet, and also Rav Meir Shalom of Kalshin. So we have their assistance today. I think there's another, hang on if I can find it, another anniversary elevation today. Okay, I'm not sure I can find it. Okay. I did read something about the teacher of Rabbi Schlag, whose anniversary of elevation is today. So let's have him in mind as well. Also, let's have in mind everyone we know who needs healing. So if you know their name or just want to think about them and send them energy of healing. Also, let's send energy of assistance to all those souls that we know that are elevating in the first year of the process of elevating, some energy of comfort and assistance on their journey. Also, let's connect to the, well, first and foremost, let's connect to the energy of healing and protection for everyone impacted by the fires in California, which and that devastation and the loss of life and the loss of people losing their homes and all the possessions. So let's send them energy of comfort and assistance and protection. And we're not doing it today, but it's recommended to read the verse 73 and 74 of the portion of Tzav, which is volume 9 in our Zohar. So that's something that we definitely want to think about doing. Let's also connect the energy of healing, the energy of removing negativity and chaos from our world, ending the wars that are going on in our world between Russia and Ukraine and Israel and its neighbors, protection for all those innocents that are in harm's way, the safe release of the hostages being held by Hamas, also the energy of protection from evil eye and evil speech. Okay, again, we are in the portion of Vayechi, volume 7 in our edition of the Zohar, and we're at verse 395. The title of the article is The Angel Who Redeemed. This verse is, the angel who redeemed, is part of the blessing that that Jacob gives to his sons. It's also a blessing that parents give their children on Shabbat Eve. So this really is connecting to that energy of Shabbat. Again, it's past midday on Friday, local time here in Chicago. And so as we often point out, the energy of Shabbat is already beginning to infuse our world. And so we're already connecting to the energy of Shabbat. Again, we're in Vayechi, volume 7, verse 395. And so we have the opportunity right now through the Zohar to connect to more energy now than we do during the rest of the week, because the energy of Shabbat is already infusing our reality. And so it's the beginning of this opportunity to connect to blessings, the greatest opportunity we have during the week, which is Shabbat. And one of the blessings is actually this verse. So again, strengthening our opportunity to channel blessings. The world definitely needs them. And so I thought this was an appropriate section for us to study. Okay, verse 395. Hamalch goel timikol rab, Rabbi Elazar Amar, Kevan devarech Yaakov, v'itkaven mitata le'ela, kedein amshech me'ila latata, dirtiv, Elokim haro'eh oti, kevan di'ihu natel, yahev birchan lahai atar, kevan de'amte birchan lahai atar, kedein petach v'yamar hamalach hagoel degomer. Okay, so before we read the English, just something to note, and that is that this portion is called Vayechi, and he lived. And it's about Jacob going down to Egypt after Jacob finds out that his son Joseph is still alive. And so he goes to join him down there. There's a famine going on around the world. And so Joseph brings them down so they don't have to suffer from that famine. That's the literal narrative. But for us, it's also this understanding, like, what is it about, why is this portion called Vayechi, and he lived? I mean, the literal narrative is he spent the last 17 years of his life, Jacob did, living in Egypt, Vayechi, and he lived there. But the problem is that he dies in this portion. His soul elevates to the next realm. So why in the portion that Jacob passes, why is it called Vayechi? And so there's one of the things that we want, that this is significant of, and then we remind ourselves of, is that we live in a world of illusions. Nobody dies. Souls ascend to the upper realm. And so this is about the continuity of life. Vayechi is about the continuity of life. And so it's an opportunity for us to raise our consciousness, to look at the world in a different way, to look at the world not as it presents itself to us, or not as our physical body and mind interpret it, but in a much deeper way, that is the continuity of all things and the unity of all things. We live in a world where we see beginnings and ends, and everything is fragmented and separated. And that's an illusion. The deeper reality is life goes on. Life doesn't end. Life goes on in spite of what we see. And everything is united in spite of what we see. I saw a comment by Yosef Yeshurun this morning where he said that, when we say the Shema, and in other places, we're reminded that, there's one God. And that's like monotheism. And Abraham stands for this idea of monotheism, but that's a corruption. Maybe corruption is too strong of a word. It's misleading. It's not like there's one God. There is. It's not about the unity of God. It's about the unity of our world. We're all connected. We're all in the same boat. We don't feel the suffering going on in California as the Californians do, but we're feeling there's a lot of negativity going on. And we feel that we're all connected. It's impacting us also, not to the same degree, but it's impacting us also. And so part of the work that we do in taking the world and our reality to a more perfected state, to the world to come, to connecting with the deeper reality of the Garden of Eden, part of the work that we do is seeing the unity of all things and the continuity of all things. So this is a great opportunity for us to channel that consciousness and all that healing for the world. And we know that the world needs it. Okay, Maria, verse 395.
The angel who redeemed me from all evil.
Okay, so Jacob had challenging life. So literally, he's referencing the angels. And it's just a reminder for us that any miracles we experience, anything that's out of the ordinary, we have to remind ourselves that it is our angels, the universe helping us. It's certainly not us. We're not responsible for the good things that happen, and it's certainly not random. So it's a reminder again, we're all being assisted at all times. There's things that are always going on. There's no coincidences. When we see a coincidence, we have to remind ourselves that's not random. That is happening because I'm getting assistance from the universe. Go ahead.
Eleazar said, after Jacob gave the blessing, he meant to bring unity from below upwards by saying, Elohim, the Elohim Malchut, before whom my fathers did walk, Chesed and Geburah.
Okay, so let's stop there because there's a lot a lot for us to understand. So after Jacob gave the blessings, he meant to bring unity. So again, this is us connecting to this energy of unity. There may be a limited amount of what I can do to help people in California, but the minimum I can do, I can be consciously sending energy of assistance and healing and protection. That I can do at minimum. But it requires me understanding that actually my consciousness impacts the world. So when you approach reality from this perception of fragmentation, and maybe it doesn't make a difference, but we understand the butterfly effect in a very significant way, that all the things that we do with consciousness are impacting the world. And so it's a reminder again that we want to keep our consciousness in a positive place. And that's what Jacob was trying to do. There's a teaching that it's somewhat of a paradox that Jacob had his most significant prophecies in Egypt. I mean, he was living in the Holy Land. Yet he moves down to Egypt and he has his most significant prophecies. What's that about? And it's about this teaching, which a lot of teachers talk about often, which is that you can't perceive the light unless you're experiencing darkness. We have no framework. We have no baseline to understand when things are working out unless we experience examples of when they're not working out. So a lot of the challenges that we experience in life are there to help us to appreciate the blessings that we receive. And this is a theme of Jacob's life. And of course, it's a reminder to us, the same thing. He had many challenges in his life. I heard David Guillaume say this week in his podcast that he was talking about the topic of certainty. And what he said is that obviously we want to be working on our certainty. We want to have certainty. And we have to have, in what that means, whether we can get there or not, we want to be working towards having certainty at all times with respect to all challenges that occur in our life, that they are for the best. We may live the best. I had this experience, it was ridiculously negative. No, I want to have the conscience that it was for my best. Yes, it presented itself as negative. It's still there to help me in a positive way. It's still there to help me to grow my vessel, to assist me in getting to my next level, to assist me in expanding my vessel so I can accommodate the blessings that are coming. So that we've talked about before and our teachers talk about, and it's a really important perspective to have. And certainly, did Jacob have that all the time? Well, he was one of the greatest souls to walk the earth. So even in the context of the challenges he was certain, or he was working on his certainty. So again, part of Jacob's life, connecting to Jacob's life in the portion where he passes on, and all the light that he revealed in his life is available to us, we want to connect to that certainty, the certainty of Jacob. But David Guillaume added another thought which I just hadn't heard before, and I just want to share with you. I think it's incredibly significant. We're all involved in processes that are clearly challenging us. So like we want to have a consciousness of certainty that this is helping me. And I don't want to ask when it's going to be over, because when I sound impatient, I'm pushing the blessing away. it happens when it's supposed to happen. And this was the teaching when Joseph was in prison and he asked for help. I believe it was the wine steward. He asked for help, and because he asked for help, the process was extended for 2 years. It's not that he asked for help; it's that he actually thought the help was what would make him get him out, not the light of the Creator. So when we try to speed things up without maintaining a consciousness that we are asking the light to help us, we push away and extend the processes that we're in. On top of that, this is the point I wanted to make, which is what David Gam said. He said, when we are anxious about what's going on, we are crossing the line between what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing. We have to do our work. The Hebrew word for that is hishtadlus. We have to do the work that we have to do. We still have to make the effort. We have to, call the clients and make the presentation and ask them for the business. But once we're done with that. We have to talk to our partners and try and resolve conflicts and try to be understood and try to be heard and try to express what it is that we're feeling. That's the work that we have to do. When we become anxious about the outcome, that's crossing the line. Once we've done what we've done, it then is up to the Creator. And when I get involved in anxieties and fears, I am crossing over the line into the realm that is actually the responsibility of the light. I do my work and then I let go. Does that make sense? I hope so. And if it doesn't, please ask. But I think it's an important conscience to have. We do our work and then we let go of the outcome.
I don't think
we ask the light for help. Yes, Peter.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Difficult concept to articulate anything, so I'm not sure it came across. Yeah. So what I think, and the last line you said, which I think was not exactly how you intended it. What you're saying is when we are anxious, when we cross that line, we now have lost the connection to the Creator, right? Not that we're doing the Creator's work, right? You're saying we're whatever, we're in the 1%, we're doing negative things, we're trying to change the outcome of what the Creator has. And that's a question, right? What is it? I think explain that a little better.
Yeah, I don't think I would say, it's possible, but I don't think I would say we've lost the light of the Creator. We've just overstepped our bounds. We've gotten involved in the part of the process that's not our responsibility. When I'm anxious about something, I have no reason to be anxious. There's nothing I can do. It's going to happen when it's going to happen. It's in the hands of the light of the Creator. And so one way to know that I've crossed over that boundary is just to be present to what I'm feeling. I'm feeling anxious. Well, what's there to be anxious about? There's nothing more I can do. It's out of my hands. It's in the realm of the light of the Creator. It's in the realm of the Creator, what the Creator is going to take care of. So in that sense, it's like, well, I don't really have anything to be anxious about. What's going to be is what's going to be. My fears and anxieties do undermine the process because I'm taking on more than I should appropriately take on. If I want to approach things from the perspective of certainty. If I have certainty that I've done everything I need to do, then I just need to let go, and whatever is best for me is the way it's going to play out. I hope that's helpful. It is a difficult concept. Let's continue. Thanks for that, Peter. Maria?
By unity, below upward by saying, the Elohim Malchut, before whom my fathers did walk, Chesed and Geburah, continuing from above downward, in the Elohim who has been my shepherd, that is Binah. He drew.
Okay, so this verse from this week's portion, the angel who redeemed me from all evil, Tamal Chagoel Oti Mikol Ra. So that verse is opening the channels from below up to channel blessings from the flawless universe of Binah. So that's what's happening with the blessings. So our consciousness, a lot of times we read the blessings, we say the blessings, and, we have consciousness, but this is a very deep consciousness about what this verse is doing. So no wonder it's the blessing that parents bestow upon their children Friday night, because it's opening channels of fulfillment.
David, I think it's worth also noting that when he said, before whom my fathers did walk, Chesed Gevurah, so it's talking about Abraham and Isaac, right and left column. And then we know Jacob is central column. So it's the unity of the three columns that is helping create that channel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, let's continue.
Where was that?
He drew.
Huh?
He drew.
Oh, he drew from Binah unto his grave, Tiferet. Now that he has received, he gave to that place the Nufka. And when the blessings reached it, he opened the discussion, saying, the angel who redeemed, so that from her blessings will be drawn upon the lower beings.
Okay, so it sounds like Rabbi Elazar is opening the discussion with the angel who redeemed. So again, that's why he brings this verse up, to discuss it, to give us the opportunity to connect to the openings that this blessing created. Yes, it's interesting from a historical perspective, that's the blessing he gave. It's interesting, but that's not what we're doing here. What we're doing here, as through the assistance of Rabbi Elazar, is again opening those channels. So on the one hand, we're studying this, it's interesting and it's important to know the significance. On the other hand, we're actually opening those channels as we connect to this section of the Zohar. And so it's also an incredibly important opportunity that we have as we're connecting here. 396. Patach v'amar, ki hakruvim porsei knafayim el makom ha'aron v'gomer. Tachazeh kruvim be'at uvenisa havo kaimei. Talad zimnim b'yoma havo parsei gad vehon. V'sachachei al arona latata. Dichtiv porsei knafayim. Perusei lakatid ele porsei.
He opened the discussion, saying, for the cherubs spread out their two wings over the place of the ark.
And that's from the prophet. Well, actually, that's from the book of Malachi, the book of Kings. So we've talked about this before, but does anyone know who the cherubs are? So in the tabernacle, the way the tabernacle was designed, and the tabernacle was where the Ten Commandments were kept in the desert, and also where the sacrifices were made. In the tabernacle was an ark, and above the ark were two cherubs. They're like figures of almost looking like small children, like children. And we see depictions of this in artwork and in other places. And it's these two cherubs kind of facing each other. The unique thing about the tabernacle was those cherubs, when the Creator and the children of Israel were aligned, the cherubs were facing each other. When the children of Israel were in conflict, the cherubs were back to back. So it's kind of like this. It's not a static artistic design. It was something that, to a certain degree, was impacted by the consciousness of the people. That's what we're taught about the cherubs. And it's a very interesting, spiritual historical fact on one level. But another level, it's just a reminder that consciousness and consciousness of conflict impacts the world. And so again, we always want to be connecting to the energy of unity, the energy of healing, the energy of protection. We want to have our consciousness there to channel those blessings, so that essentially we're able to participate in those cherubs facing each other and the openings of the channels of blessings being open. Okay, let's continue.
The cherubs stood there by miracle and three times a day spread their wings over the ark below.
Okay, so it's like it was an artistic design, but the thing is that 3 times a day they would open up their wings and spread them out. Reminds me of the cuckoo clock I saw in Prague. Yes, Peter.
So what's interesting is, so you're saying that the directions that they face changed based on our actions. And then here it's a very specifically stating they're spreading their wings. So I find it interesting because, what really is a cherub? And it's applying
Right.
it's applying a certain, if you will, a human characteristic that they have the ability to do that. Are
I
they
mean,
equals? Yeah.
were they angels? And again, this verse from Malachim 1, from the first book of Kings, is being brought into the conversation by Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, following the paragraph where he discusses the angel who deemed me from all evil. So it's like we're connecting to our spiritual guides and angels in this section. We're connecting to this metaphysical realm. And so it's an important reminder that this isn't just study, it's not scholarship, it's not entertainment, certainly. It's energy work, and it's working with and connecting to the upper realm. And within the upper realm are all kinds of spiritual entities that are there to assist us. The unusual thing is that we don't see those spiritual entities necessarily, but you did see the cherubs. So those were spiritual entities that actually had a physical reflection. Their energy was of such a nature that they actually manifested at some physical level. Again, bridging the gap perceived gap between the physical world and the metaphysical world, between the lower realm and the upper realm. They obviously stood on that, were a connecting point, which is the irony of when they were facing each other, there was unity, and when there was disunity, they were back to back. They returned. It's like almost like a dashboard on where our consciousness is. Well, wouldn't it be nice to have that? We do have that. When you see crazy things going on in the world, it's the direct result of the disunity that we experience, which is why we're trying to create unity and treating everyone with human decency. Things get hot on occasion because we're not composed. We're not connecting to our soul. We're letting our ego rule the day. So again, another opportunity for us to cool things down, both physically and metaphysically, by connecting to this energy of unity and connecting to seeing in a deeper way the opportunity we have to connect to the upper realm. Okay.
Do we happen to know the timing, the 3 times reference here? It says 3 times a day spread their wings.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Okay.
An educated guess that it aligns with the 3 connection times. We have a morning connection, an afternoon connection, evening connection, and that's also the 3 times that sacrifices were brought. And again, the morning time is a morning of chesed, of mercy. The afternoon time is the energy of gvura, of judgment, and evening is the energy of tiferet, the balance between mercy and judgment. So it aligns with the three columns that Jacob was connecting to in the blessings that he was manifesting that we talked about in the previous paragraph. Okay, let's continue.
As it is written that they spread their wing, and not that their wings were spread, which would mean that their wings were always spread, but spread their wings wings means that did not sow 3 times a day.
What's the Zohar? Why is the Zohar saying that? Telling that? Is it getting a little picky?
Oh.
A little picky? Because your and my physical consciousness is going to take a look at that line and think the wings were always spread because we don't picture cherubs moving about, changing how they're showing up. We look around at the physical surroundings you're in. We think everything is stagnant. It's not, it's energy. It's not stagnant, it's energy. Energy flows. The table that you're sitting at looks like it's solid and it occupies almost an exact physical space. Of course, I'll put my hands on it. I feel the table right here. Of course, it's not moving around. Well, actually, science tells you something else. It's energy. There is an inexact position that it's in. When I look at it, it collapses into that position. When I'm not there, it's just energy. Like our brain observes it, and puts it in static space so that we can navigate and walk around and know where everything is. But the reality is it's energy. It doesn't occupy exact space. It's an approximation. The quantum tells you it collapses when the observer sees it. So our consciousness impacts our reality from a quantum physics standpoint. And our consciousness also impacted the cherubs. And the cherubs were moving about with their wings. So it's like it's an opportunity for us to achieve an expansive consciousness about what reality really is. Can I stop the fires? Yes. Can I stop a hurricane from heading to a certain coast? Yes. Will it? Don't know, but I can definitely have a consciousness of that. Okay. Yeah, no pressure. Like, we can change the way the world is interacting with each other and the circumstances that are coming up with consciousness, with injecting positive consciousness into the world. And that's where we want to be. And that positive consciousness is a higher vibrational frequency. Why do we say that? Because when I am in a positive consciousness, I am vibrating at that higher level, and that's the energy I'm injecting in the world. You control the energy you inject into the world by where you allow your consciousness to be. If I'm in a low consciousness, I'm taking. I'm in a low vibrational frequency, and I'm trying to pull energy in. That's desire to receive. It's normal. Kabbalah, receive. It's normal to receive. I want to be in a higher vibrational frequency. And so the energy that I'm receiving, I want to share in a positive way with the world around me. Okay, let's continue. 397. V'tachas kuchabrichu adei l'tata kagavna dila'ela. Kuruvim yukna dilahon kchezu rabyan. V'kaimin techot hai atar. Mimina u'mismala. Yilein it barchan b'kadmeta. Mehanhu birchan de nagdan me'ela. Mehacha nagde birchan l'tata.
Come and see, the Holy One, blessed be he, blessed be he, did below as he did above.
Okay, so again, it's the light of the Creator is impacting our world above to below, as above, so below. Go ahead.
To wit, the cherubs at the tabernacle are like the cherubs above.
It's not just that there's cherubs on the tabernacle that are manifesting physically, there's cherubs above. So, as I was saying, they kind of bridge the reality. They're upper realm entities that are manifesting in the physical realm. Anyone else do you know that has an upper realm aspect and manifests below? You! We all. Like, our souls that are manifesting physically is the tip of the iceberg that is who we are. Which is why it's like, I don't even know who I am. I mean, I have an idea, I have a social security number, but I don't mean that. Like, what is the full potential of my soul? What is my soul's work here? That's part of what I'm doing is like digging down and going deep, because the answer is inside me. When I connect to my soul, I can travel back to that deeper me that's available at the upper realm. So again, cherubs are also a reminder of that. That I am also manifesting only in a limited basis. Like the whole metaphor of the tip of the iceberg is like, you have a huge iceberg, but only a certain amount, I don't know what the measurement is, less than 10%, I imagine. It's actually above the surface of the water. So hence the tip of the iceberg, meaning it's a reference when we hear this expression, tip of the iceberg, what we see is a small portion of the greater reality. Your souls are a small portion of your greater reality. And the cherubs, as they manifest, were also a small portion of their greater reality. And that's what Jacob is trying to connect us to in the blessings that he's giving. Like, why does Jacob have to give blessings to his children before he passes away? Before he is, because he's ascending to the upper realm, he's not disappearing. So why does he have to give the blessings though? Even still, what is it? Listen, I want to bless you guys. You should have a good life. I mean, is that all that it is? Is that what the central column of Tiferet is all about? It's not. The central column of Tiferet, the channel for which Jacob connected to, is about manifesting blessings. So what he's doing is he's leaning as heavily as possible as he can into that central column to manifest blessings for his children, the world. His children, the children of Israel. Because it's them, those 12 tribes and their progeny, if I'm using that word right, who are being given the responsibility to perfect the world, to take over for the role that the angels had during creation. It's like, that's our role. That's what we're doing. We're aligning ourselves with our soul's purpose, which is to perfect the world in the work that I do, whatever it is that I'm doing. So long as I'm receiving for the sake of sharing, I'm aligned with and continue constantly working on my role in perfecting creation. Okay, let's continue.
The cherubs above resemble boys and stand underneath that place, the Nukta of Absolute, to its right and left.
By the way, no, it's boys, not men. In other words, they look like, what's the difference between boys and men? I mean, children have an innocence. They are, as Karen Berg used to say, uncorrupted, or she actually unadulterated. And so there's this, it's not just in the youth, it's just there's a purity of connection that the cherubs represent. Go ahead.
They, Metat, can I pronounce the other one? Sandalphon, can I pronounce that one?
Not sure.
Okay. Abide,
Yes. Yeah.
abide at the Holy and Holies at Briach. They are at first blessed from the blessing drawn from above, and from the blessings are drawn downward.
So just like the cherubs are blessed from above and below, so too is Jacob trying to bless from above to below, to bring those blessings down upon the world. And that's the power of that verse that we say Friday nights. After, I mean, there's different times, but a lot of people say after they make the Friday night Kiddush, or some days before they make the Friday night Kiddush, they'll bless their children, they'll bless their grandchildren. It's an opportune time to channel the blessings. So again, for us, as we approach this Shabbat, as we are connecting to the energy of Vayechi, we're connecting to the energy of immortality, we're connecting to the energy of unity, we're channeling blessings for the world around us, we're channeling blessings for ourselves and those who are near and dear to us. We're thinking about those who are suffering in California and those who are suffering in other places of the world, and sending them energy of healing, energy of protection, and energy of treating everyone in the world with human decency, taking the temperature down on the conflict in the world, and giving us energy of protection from all kinds of negativity and physical challenges that are out there. Okay, we're done time-wise. Thank you. Thanks for reading, Maria. And love you all. Have a great Shabbat.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom.